If your morning blood sugar is climbing year over year, don't look at what you ate at dinner. Don't look at your carb count. Look at what your liver does between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. There is a forgotten Korean root that shuts down morning blood sugar while you sleep, and your doctor has never mentioned it. There is a process happening inside your body right now, while you sleep, that almost no one in mainstream wellness content is discussing. Your liver does not stop producing sugar overnight. It accelerates. A specific hormone, released in the early morning fasting window, instructs your liver to manufacture and release glucose directly into your bloodstream. For most people over the age of 60, that process has already accelerated beyond the range your body is meant to handle. This is why people who cut their carbs and fix their dinner timing still see their fasting glucose climb every year on the lab report. The number on the page is not coming from the food they ate. It is coming from a process they cannot see and that no one has ever explained to them. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what that hormone is, why it spikes overnight, and the specific Korean root, confirmed in a 12-week human clinical trial, that suppresses the signal at the source. Most people will never hear this from their doctor, not because their doctor is withholding it, because the root cannot be patented. When the research came out, no pharmaceutical company had a financial reason to fund the large Western trials that would push it into treatment guidelines. You can eat perfectly at dinner, low carb, no sugar, early cutoff, and still wake up with a fasting glucose reading that looks like you ate a full bowl of rice at midnight. That is not a diet failure. That is your liver doing exactly what it is programmed to do, manufacturing glucose overnight on a hormonal schedule, completely independent of anything on your plate. In this video, I'm going to show you the specific Korean root, yeoju, bitter melon, and exactly why it works on overnight glucose through a mechanism no competitor video has covered. The precise biological pathway, glucagon suppression, your liver's overnight glucose manufacturing process, and why targeting the production side of the equation is fundamentally different from everything else in this space. The specific research institution, participant count, duration, and verified outcomes, so you can look it up yourself tonight. An exact evening protocol with doses, preparation method, and timing, including why nighttime matters and what you lose by taking this in the morning. Instead, 4 preparation mistakes that eliminate the effectiveness of what you're doing, including a cinnamon safety issue that directly affects the 55 and older demographic and almost nobody is talking about, and who should have a specific conversation with their physician before starting, because if you are on statins, this information is especially relevant to you. Most glucose management content focuses on insulin. Insulin is the key that unlocks your cells to absorb glucose. Sensitize the key, the thinking goes, and you lower blood sugar. But insulin only works on glucose that is already circulating. It does not address the factory. Think of liver glucose production like a municipal water treatment plant running a night shift. During the overnight fasting window, a specific supervisor glucagon arrives and instructs the plant to run at full capacity, releasing glucose into circulation to keep your brain and organs fueled while you sleep. In a healthy metabolic system, this process is tightly regulated. In a pre-diabetic system, the supervisor never leaves. The night shift runs too long, production runs too high, and you wake up with a fasting glucose reading that reflects hours of unregulated manufacturing, not last night's dinner. Bitter melon, yeoju, in Korean, contains a group of compounds including charantin and polypeptide P that research now suggests act directly on glucagon signaling, not on insulin, on glucagon, the hormone that starts the night shift. This was confirmed in a randomized trial where neither the participants nor the researchers knew who was getting the real compound, compared against a placebo group, people taking a dummy pill with no active ingredient. Human trial published in 2023, PMID 37009042. 65 participants with prediabetes or early metabolic disruption were enrolled. Over 12 weeks, The bitter melon group showed, confirmed by the data, to be a real effect glucagon suppression at 120 minutes post-oral glucose tolerance test, OGTT, compared to placebo. The results were statistically confirmed. Fasting glucose reduction was also confirmed. No serious adverse events were reported. This is human data, not a cell line, not a rat study, a randomized controlled trial with real people, a real control group, and a real peer-reviewed outcome. The night shift does not just run because of glucagon. It runs because of a specific enzyme pathway inside liver cells called your liver's internal glucose manufacturing process, the process by which your liver converts non-glucose substrates into new glucose molecules. Think of your liver's internal glucose manufacturing process as the manufacturing floor of that same plant. Glucagon is the supervisor who starts the shift, but PEPCK and G6PASE are the actual machines on the floor, the enzymes that do the converting. When both are active, your liver produces glucose efficiently through the night. When they are suppressed, production drops. Korean cinnamon, gaiapai, Cinnamomum cassia, has been studied in this context. A meta-analysis pooling data from 10 randomized controlled trials with 543 total participants found fasting blood glucose reduction of 24.59 milligrams per deciliter versus placebo. The proposed mechanism includes AMPK activation and direct downregulation of PEPCK, the same enzyme on the production floor. Here is where I have to be precise about something that no other video in this space is addressing. It directly affects you if you are 55 or older. Korean gaiapi is Cinnamomum cassia. It is not Ceylon cinnamon. And cassia contains coumarin at levels that, at daily culinary doses, can exceed the European Food Safety Authority's tolerable daily intake for adults with any hepatic vulnerability, including people on statins, which are themselves metabolized by the liver. For the evening protocol in this video, I am going to specify Ceylon cinnamon, Cham Gai Pai, Cinnamomum verum, which has documented glucose activity and a fraction of the coumarin load. The mechanism data from cassia is real. The safety concern at daily doses is also real. You deserve to know both. There is a reason this protocol is designed for the evening and not the morning. Hepatic glucose production does not run evenly across 24 hours. It follows a circadian pattern rising through the late-night fasting window and peaking in the early morning hours before waking. This is well documented. The dawn phenomenon is one of the most consistently observed patterns in metabolic research, PMID 315-13257. If you take a glucose-modulating compound in the morning, you are arriving after the production peak has already occurred. You are managing the output. If you take it in the evening before sleep, you are present at the beginning of the shift, suppressing glucagon signaling and downregulating the enzyme pathway before the manufacturing floor reaches full capacity. The difference in fasting glucose outcomes between correctly timed and incorrectly timed interventions is not trivial. It is the difference between a protocol that moves your morning numbers and one that does not, even if the compound is identical. This is the exact evening protocol based on the verified research. 1. Korean bitter melon, Yeoju. Extract capsule form, standardized if possible. The human RCT used an extract, not raw juice, not powder tea. Dose. Follow the product's standardized extract guidance, typically 500 milligrams to 2 grams of dried extract equivalent. Timing, 30 to 45 minutes before sleep. Take with a small amount of food, a few almonds, or a teaspoon of nut butter, as fat-soluble compounds absorb better with a fat carrier. Do not take on a completely empty stomach if you are sensitive to bitter compounds gastrointestinally. Sourcing. Available at Korean grocery stores, including H-Mart, Asian specialty markets, and online. Look for products that list Momordica curantia. That is the botanical name for bitter melon, as the botanical name with an extract ratio on the label. Fresh, Yeoju, is available seasonally and can be prepared as a light broth, but for therapeutic consistency, standardized extract is preferable. 2. Ceylon cinnamon, cham gai pai. Not Korean gyapai, not the cassia you find in most grocery store cinnamon jars. Specifically Cinnamomum verum, it will say Ceylon on the label. 1 gram steeped in water at 80 to 90 degrees Celsius for 10 to 15 minutes. This is not a cold mix application. Cinnamon's active compounds are heat extracted, not cold soluble. If you have tried stirring cinnamon into a cold drink and found it clumps and does not dissolve, that is the correct observation. It does not dissolve, and cold mixing does not deliver the active compounds effectively. Steep it as a tea. Drink it warm, 20 to 30 minutes before sleep. Use a straw to protect dental enamel. Do not brush your teeth immediately after wait 30 minutes. 3. Boricha warm barley tea. 1 cup of prepared boricha, roasted barley steeped in hot water as the delivery vehicle for the cinnamon or as a standalone addition. Boricha is caffeine-free, appropriate for evening use, and has human clinical evidence for microbiome support, including Akkermansia, a gut bacteria strain associated with insulin sensitivity. I want to be direct here. Boricha does not have direct evidence for overnight glucose reduction. I am not claiming it does. What it provides is a pH-gentle, IBS-safe, caffeine-free evening drink base with legitimate microbiome data. It situates this protocol within a Korean dietary frame that has centuries of actual use. For viewers who have been told to try ACV before bed and found it aggravating to their stomach, this is a structurally different approach. Timing summary. Take bitter melon extract 30 to 45 minutes before sleep with a small fat-containing food. Prepare Ceylon cinnamon tea, separately steep 10 to 15 minutes in hot water, and drink it warm 20 to 30 minutes before sleep. Boricha can be combined with the cinnamon steep or taken as a separate cup. Do not combine bitter melon extract with cinnamon tea in the same swallow. Take the capsule first with a small snack, then drink the tea. All 3 components are evening only. Do not take this protocol in the morning and expect fasting glucose effects. Physician consultation required if you are currently taking metformin, insulin, or sulfonylureas. Bitter melon has a potential additive glucose-lowering effect, and your physician needs to know you are adding it. You are on statins. Statins are independently documented to raise fasting glucose, PMID 226-11136, and this interaction should be discussed with your prescribing physician before you start an overnight glucose protocol. You are on warfarin, Plavix, or other anticoagulants. Consult your physician before adding any bioactive botanical compound. You are pregnant. You have chronic kidney disease. Confirm all components are appropriate for your specific kidney function with your nephrologist. Mistake 1. Taking this in the morning. This is the most common timing error, and it eliminates most of the protocol's fasting glucose benefit. The reason is circadian liver glucose production peaks in the early morning fasting window. A compound that suppresses glucagon signaling needs to be present during that window, not after it. If you take bitter melon with breakfast, you are addressing after meals glucose, which is a different problem. Your fasting number, the one on your lab report, is determined in the hours before you wake. The fix: evening only, 30 to 45 minutes before sleep. Mistake 2. Using cassia cinnamon instead of Ceylon. Most cinnamon sold in grocery stores, including most cinnamon labeled as cinnamon at Korean markets, is Cinnamomum cassia. It has real glucose activity. It also contains coumarin at levels that can accumulate to hepatotoxic doses with daily use, particularly in adults 55 and older, who may already have age-related hepatic processing changes or concurrent statin use. The fix: look specifically for the word Ceylon or Cinnamomum verum on the label. H-Mart and Korean grocery stores carry it. Ask for chamjipai. Online sourcing is reliable if you confirm the botanical name. Mistake 3. Cold mixing the cinnamon. Cinnamon's active compounds, cinnamaldehyde, and type A procyanidins. The heat-activated compounds responsible for cinnamon's glucose effects are not cold-soluble. If you stir cinnamon powder into cold water or a cold drink, most of the active fraction stays suspended as particles and passes through without absorption. Multiple viewers in competing channels have reported that the cinnamon just floats on top. This is exactly the problem. The fix: steep 1 gram of Ceylon cinnamon in water at 80 to 90 degrees Celsius for 10 to 15 minutes, like a tea. The heat extracts the active fraction. Drink it warm. Mistake 4: skipping the fat carrier with bitter melon. Bitter melon's active compounds, carentan in particular, are fat-soluble. Taking the extract capsule with water alone on an empty stomach reduces absorption and increases the likelihood of GI discomfort, which is the most common reason people abandon the compound within the first 2 weeks. The fix: take it with a small, fat-containing food. A few almonds, half a tablespoon of almond butter, a few walnuts. This is not a large meal, it is a fat carrier. 5 to 10 grams of fat is sufficient. The glucagon signaling pathway, your liver's internal glucose manufacturing process enzymes, the circadian production window. These systems exist in you right now. The question is not whether your body can regulate overnight glucose production. It can. It is designed to. The question is whether you are giving it what it needs during the specific window when that regulation matters most. 1 cup of correctly prepared Ceylon cinnamon tea. 1 bitter melon extract capsule with a small fat-containing snack. Every evening, consistently. That is where it starts. To summarize what we covered today, your morning fasting glucose is produced by your liver overnight, driven by a hormone called glucagon, not by what you ate at dinner. Bitter melon, Yoju, has human RCT evidence for glucagon suppression at 12 weeks with no serious adverse events. Ceylon cinnamon has meta-analysis data across 543 participants showing fasting glucose reduction of 24.59 milligrams per deciliter versus placebo. But cassia cinnamon, which most people are using, carries coumarin hepatotoxicity risk at daily doses. Timing matters. Evening dosing targets the production peak. Morning dosing does not. And if you are on statins, your fasting glucose may already be elevated by your medication. That conversation belongs with your physician. If this was useful, share it with someone who is managing their glucose and not getting the answers they need. That is the person this video was made for. If you want more content, like this Korean dietary research explained with the accuracy it deserves, subscribe. Every video we make goes through the same standard. Verified studies, real numbers, nothing fabricated in a title. Next, we are going to look at what Korean researchers have found about a specific morning drink that activates autophagy, your body's cellular recycling system that most people over 50 have essentially turned off, and what turning it back on does to your metabolic baseline.